Good Monday evening, and thank you so much for joining us for this Juneteenth special. I'm Darci Strickland.
And I'm Whitney Sullivan. Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day or Emancipation Day, is celebrated on June 19th each year. It marks the day in 1865 when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced that all enslaved individuals were to be set free. Now, this happened 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Abraham Lincoln.
As the nation pauses today to remember the importance of this holiday, we're going to take the next 30 minutes to reflect on the contributions of African Americans across the Midlands. Each of them has, in their own special way, left a mark on history and paved the way for others. This is a seat at the table.
What made you want to become a firefighter?
I have a first cousin that was a firefighter, and he told me he don't remember them ever having a black female. And I told him, well, you're looking at the first. So the first time I applied, I didn't get hired. And he said, try it again. We have a new hiring chief. So I said, okay, I'll try it again. And I did. And when I interviewed, and the chief said, are you still interested in the position? I said, yes. He said, congratulations, you're the first. I said, the first what? He said, you're the City of Columbia's first black female firefighter.
Were you surprised that you were the first?
I was surprised I was the first in 1990 because I remember seeing black female police officers. I was very surprised, but I was also honored and, you know, my head held high.
I'd love to hear how your peers treated you, your fellow firefighters.
They were very hard on me, but I hung in there.
What were some of the challenges or struggles that you faced while in this job?
I always thinking I needed to do 120, 150% of what they did. I always feel I had to prove that I can do the job. No matter how well I did the job, it didn't seem like it was enough. Even driving, it just didn't seem like it was enough. But my father told me, when you learn a job, they can't take it away from you. So I learned my job. I learned how to calculate, you know, pump into the fires. I knew I could drive, and I knew I had that, and I knew that they couldn't take that away from me in spite of me being a female.
How did faith help you while you were a firefighter?
Yes, I used to go home and cry every day. I cried. They didn't know I cried because I thought they was tough on me, and I started doubting myself that why did you do it? You know you can't do it. But I was an athlete, so I knew I was strong. I knew I was fit, but I still doubted myself, and I said, Lord, you got to help me. You got to help me do this. And then a voice said to me, you can do it. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Look at the ladies before you that paved the way. You can't give up. They didn't give up. So I didn't give up. You know, when I talk about, you know, the older ladies that's, you know, paved the way in the civil rights movement and did things like that, I said they didn't give up, and they had things way worse than you. I said, so I'm not going to give up. So you have to do it. You have to make all black women that seeing you and young girls proud of you. And so that was my drive. I was wanting to make the world and my city and my state proud of me.
When you're arriving on the scene, what was the community's reaction to you?
They embraced me. The community embraced me. I mean, at every race, they embraced me. They loved to see that a female was doing the job.
If you were going to speak to a young woman who is thinking about pursuing a career in a male-dominated industry, what advice or encouragement would you give her?
To be ready to take the criticisms, to be ready to be told that you can't do it, but whatever job you pursue, learn that job. Once you get on it, you learn it, because when you learn it, they can't take it away from you.
I truly believe when I share my story, when I say I used to be a single parent, or I grew up on housing, you know, I grew up on food stamps, and now I'm running a $1 million company. I share that because I don't want people to think that there's limitations. Growing up, I didn't see black women or black people doing what I do. Like as a little girl, I remember sitting in my room. I used to draw out where my bed would go and my dresser. Then I would move it around. I didn't see an example of the possibilities of what I could be. I'm telling you, I get in these schools, I go talk to elementary, middle, and high school students. I share my story. I let them know that whatever it is that you're dreaming inside, it could happen. I don't care if you don't see it in your neighborhood or, you know, in the community. Still seek out for that.
Your mom has played such an intricate part in your story. Tell me about your mom.
She would be 70 today. Gosh, she's gonna make me cry. I'm so sorry. I went to school for architectural engineering to learn how to build her house. Unfortunately, she died 3 months before I finished school. I feel like everything I do now, I do it in honor of her. Yep. She was such an amazing woman. She taught us to love others, to be the voice for other people who didn't have it. She taught us to work hard, to dream big, to trust God. And I do think that I take all of that with me every day. I may not have been able to build her a house, but I promise I'm gonna build this community. I promise that's what I'm gonna do in honor of her.
Our South Carolina Teacher of the Year for 2023, Dion.
What did you think in that moment?
I remember everything at the gala up until that point. But it was a very surreal moment. I did not go in expecting to get this far. I didn't even expect to become like a district teacher of the year, let alone a finalist and then the winner. But I just saw it as like a testament to the hard work that I have put in into my classroom and investing into my students and into my community.
5 years into being a teacher, you now hold the historic position of being the first Black man to be the South Carolina Teacher of the Year. 5 years into teaching, is this your calling?
I would think so. Throughout my academic career here in Orangeburg County Schools, most of my teachers were Black women. What I did not have was a lot of teachers that looked exactly like me, so Black men. So I wanted to be what my Black women teachers were for me, for my students, but a male version of that. The research consistently shows that Black students who have teachers that look like them, particularly Black male students and Black male teachers, they are more likely to stay in school, they're more likely to stay out of trouble, they're more likely to graduate, they're more likely to pursue a post-secondary education. So those 4 reasons alone are just phenomenal reasons to have Black males into the classroom, but also the representation piece is extremely important. There's only 2% of Black men who teach here in South Carolina and across the nation. As the first Black male to be awarded the South Carolina Teacher of the Year, I feel an incredible responsibility to ensure that our Black children across the state are seeing teachers that look like them.
When President Biden tapped you for this position, what did you think?
I thought someone else, maybe. Certainly someone else can do it better than I can. All my life I've said my purpose was, and the plan, according to God, as God Family Church for me, was to give back, to think about those that are underserved, most vulnerable, distressed communities. And here was an opportunity to put it into practice, as opposed to writing the papers, publishing, and all of that goes along with academia. This is real world. This is really touching lives. And so I accepted the position. So it was not a part of my plan, but obviously part of the master's plan. Everything that we did, we grew up rural. So I had the heart for rural. I had the heart to give back to the community that helped me get to where I am today. I don't think the average South Carolinian recognizes the hurt and pain that still exists in our rural areas. We did some great projects my first year in this position, Rural Development State Director. But until we can make a difference in the life of every person in rural that's still suffering, and until South Carolina in totality can see that pain and suffering, we won't be able to see it the way I would like to see it. I fight the hardest for those that are poor, that are lacking in resources, those that are unloved. There's so much need, Darci. So I fight for those that can't fight for themselves. Help one another, love one another, serve one another, bear one another's burdens. That's what we're required to do. As long as I'm breathing, I'll have hope. And if I have hope, then I will act in some capacity.
You will be the first African-American woman to serve as the chair of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
How does that feel? What does that mean to you?
It's humbling. It's very humbling because I had no clue. It was not a plan. It wasn't anything that I ventured out to, oh, yeah, that's what I want to do. Again, from having that servant leader mentality, one of my mentors, Dr. Lewis Lynn, shared with me years ago that you have to pay your civil rent. And that means that we all make it in our world. We have money, we have kids, we have family, but we need to contribute. You need to give back.
What many people don't see are the barriers and the challenges and the obstacles that you have to face to get to this position. What were some of those obstacles and how do you overcome them?
I don't focus on the barriers. If you focus on the barriers, you can't get the solution to move into the direction that you want to go in. I'm a believer that as I grow and as I learn and as I prosper and accomplish things, I have to leave the door open for other people to come through.
So here we go. Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, Issa Rae, Jennifer Lopez, Serena Williams, Toni Braxton, Stephanie Mills, Kerry Washington, Blake Lively, Iman, Wanda Sykes, Nia Long, Lupita Nyong'o, Mary J. Blige, Queen Latifah, Tracee Ellis Ross.
Oh. I've never heard somebody do that.
When you say Sergio Hudson fashion, you immediately think of the best and the brightest. And I mean the best fabrics, the brightest colors. But a lot of people who are watching may not know that you're just a young man from Ridgeway, South Carolina, from Fairfield County.
Absolutely.
And you're true to that every day.
Every day.
What does it mean to be from Fairfield County and be on this level?
I mean, it shaped who I am as a person. I'm a very country boy, but a very cultured boy at the same time. So it's kind of like I always had the best of both worlds. I knew I was destined to do this probably at about 5 or 6 because that's when I started picking out like my mom and my sister's clothes and telling them, wear this with this. And it would be like, oh, wow, like they actually would listen to me and they would get compliments. And that's how I knew, from that young age, okay, this is a talent, this is something I need to pursue. And my parents kind of cultivated that.
Are you usually the only black man in the room?
When it comes to other designers, yeah, it's normally me. My team is pretty much 90% black. So I have, my business partner is black. My whole PR team is black. So all of my designers that work with me are black. I have to open doors for people that look like me. And I have to make it normal for a black person to design clothes for the First Lady, for the Vice President, for Beyonce. Like these things have to become common in order for them not to be singled out because at the end of the day, I don't want to just be a black designer. I just want to be a designer.
Talk to me about the value of being the president of a historically black college and university.
There is work to do 24/7, but there's also a kind of symbolism attached to it that if you are given charge of a university, your public person should honor the legions of people associated with the university. I don't have the spirit of presiding. If we're not attacking difficult things, building things, I wouldn't find it enjoyable.